Ladies and gents, it's Monday morning and it's time for an alternative paper review. First up today, the first stop on the Torrient Express is the Express. Damning claims of 250,000 more migrants a year under Labour. Wow. Okay, well, this is terrifying, isn't it? 250,000 more a year. I mean, where would they work? Because the NHS needs about that. Or maybe a few of them could go into teaching, for which pretty much everyone agrees we are hugely short-staffed and domestic Brits are no longer really applying. Maybe a few of them could go into all those customer service jobs or retail. It says Keir Starmer's open door policy. Oh, good. Yeah, so we're straight into the realms of fantasy now, aren't we? Because it's not an open door policy. What it actually is a fine-tuning of the government's own points-based system that they want to roll out. Keir Starmer's open door policy. They make it sound like they want to shut down the Home Office, welcome everybody in. Yeah, don't worry about passports and customs checks. It's fine. They said don't worry about it. Yeah, but apparently the queues are too long. Keir Starmer's open door policy could lead to an extra 250,000 people arriving in Britain every year. And I mean, apart from the obvious disingenuousness of it, shouldn't we also consider that the Tories' plans to reduce net migration from the current, down to the tens of thousands? Like when they announced that, it was 250,000 a year net migration, and they were like, no ifs, no buts. If we don't get it down to tens of thousands, you can kick us out. But not only did they not achieve that, since then it's tripled to 750,000. So it's a bit like, look, I don't care if net migration hits 1 million because we patently need immigrants to staff the nation. But if you have a problem with it, if you think increasing it by 250,000 is a huge issue, then just wait till you hear how your tens of thousands thing has panned out. Second today is The Sun. The People's Paper. Premiership stars XL bully bodyguard. Oh, God, not another one of these dog stories. Really? A Premiership footballer is refusing to give up his XL bully dog. I mean, look, right, can I just say here on the record that I think this whole XL American bully dog thing, I think it's all just a bit of a distraction. Like, I get that this specific breed has been named as a kind of problematic one, and I understand that about 10 people died last year alone from attacks by this one breed. But also, just bear this in mind for a minute. 10 means we should ban this because it's been linked to 10 deaths. Then when is the Home Secretary going to ban his own police force? Anyway, from one rabid attack dog back to another, me, we go finally to the Telegraph, who lead with Red Wall revolt over Anderson sacking. Ooh. Don't look now, guys, but the 2019 Red Wall intake of Tories are really cross. The story says private WhatsApps reveal MPs are facing a voter backlash over the handling of the Lee Anderson racism row. And obviously, this is a story that following the sacking of Lee Anderson on Friday, Tory MPs are publicly and privately agreeing that it was racist. They are backing the Prime Minister, and they're stating in their WhatsApp groups that if they wish to appear to be a modern, inclusive party who have moved on from their ugly, racist undertones of the past, then removing him for suggesting that Islamists had taken control of London was regrettably probably the right thing to do. I'm just kidding. What are they doing? They're actually, they're doing what they always do, which is putting leadership and reflection on furlough to instead prioritize themselves and their own careers. Tom Hunt said, "This isn't good at all. This is the final nail in the coffin now," said Jill Mortimer. Sarah Dine said, "I've had loads of messages from constituents," while Sarah Atherton said, "Yeah, I've had an instant backlash from members. My inbox is very positive for Lee," said Peter Gibson. Oh, well, that's settled then. I mean, if you've had a couple of emails from angry people demanding him back, well, you should obviously apologise and tell him it was all a big misunderstanding. I mean, that's certainly the lesson that I learned from when OJ worked at the women's shelter. I mean, Christ, the absolute state of the state now. Like Tory MPs backing a guy who has only just been sacked for racism. I'm like, well, at least you gave him time to reflect on his actions. But yeah, where do you start? I mean, first, the Conservative Party are just completely shirking their responsibility to show any trace of leadership here, aren't they? There is no responsibility to push back. There's no authority. There's no sense of duty. They just take the alleged feelings of the supposed masses. Oh, I tell you what, I've had lots of angry emails in. And they just go, oh, well, they all say they want a baby eating lion in the nursery. And who am I to say that they shouldn't have it? I'm just the manager of the nursery. Like, who remembers when this lot was supposed to be the party of traditions, of stability, of grown-ups and government? Now it's just, what, it's pitchforks and witch burnings. The second thing that's funny about this is like red wall headlines like this, or the appearances on the Sunday sofas yesterday, where you had people like Therese Coffey and Oliver Dowden refusing to say that Lee Anderson had been racist or Islamophobic for fear of what? Like losing red wall voters? Is that the issue? Like the idea that would placate northern red wall voters, but that it doesn't concurrently make it look like cabinet ministers aren't supporting their own prime minister. That's pretty funny. You know, like, well, we better say this, or the Northerners might jump ship. I'm like, oh right, okay. You think that mutiny is a vote winner, do you? I mean, those Sunday Sofa interviews, and even this morning, like on Radio 4's Today programme, it's so weird. It's like, do you think Leanderthal is a racist? No, I don't. Okay, well, do you think what he said was Islamophobic? No, absolutely not. Then why was he sacked? You know, are you rejecting the Prime Minister's assessment? Then third, you've got the idea that red wall voters, they just love a bit of Lee, don't they? Just Northerners can't get enough of Lee Anderson. Like, it's so weird and classist and contemptuous to just think that's what that kind of person likes. You know, it's like, oh, get Lee back. Get Lee back pronto. Yeah, all those northern monkeys, they love a bit of stupidity, don't they? Like, can we do some sort of fundraiser where we dress him and a Muslim mayor up like Punch and Judy? I think that'd be a lot of fun. Like, I don't want to labour the point here too much, but here's what it kind of boils down to for me, is it might sound like Westminster types are backing up Northerners when they give them or forgive them a Lee Anderson on the basis that it is, it's just what real people think. It's how real people talk in the pub. But actually, all it shows is how weirdly out of touch and detached these Tories are. Like, in their mind, the working classes, and specifically the northern working classes, are just base level, unintelligent, uneducated, bigoted morons. And that's exactly how we should interpret this when they say, oh, he's throwing some red meat to the red wall. Like, if you ran it through a bullshit translator, it should come out like, oh, he thinks we're all morons. Right, okay, cool. But speaking of being out of touch and detached, I suppose this is the fourth thing. All of these people are behind in the polls. Tom Hunt, done. Dehenna Davison, gone. Sarah Atherton is toast. So each of them on this 2019 intake WhatsApp group, each of them is like, oh, I don't think that these people are really very happy. We better do what the people want. Immediately, I'm like, really? You're going to do what the people want? Because it sounds to me like the people want you all to fuck off. And even if you discount what those few MPs, what their polling is like, if you just focus on Lee Anderson himself, he's also on track to lose his seat. Which means for all of the Tories lamenting the loss of political thoughts Lee Anderson, none of them are doing so based on what the people actually want. In fact, all they're actually basing any of this on is on what? Like on sort of angry mobs with picket signs, or the prejudiced stereotypes that they've built up in their minds where they're like, oh no, this is what I think that type of person wants. Like, does anyone actually think that the privately educated Oxbridge types who dominate CCHQ have the first idea what would be important to a working class person from up in Ashfield? No, of course not. They'll be like, oh, they don't care about equality and public services. They just want to come in and put kettle on after a hard day in the mines and moan about Muslims. Like, it's really It's really quite something, isn't it? I mean, it's like, that is how powerful Tory hate is. It's not just a light bit of prejudice. It's posh bigotry from CCHQ on top of imagined bigotry from the northern working classes, all packaged up with a bow tie to defend another MP's actual bigotry. It's levels deep, guys. It's a layered cheesecake sandwich of ignorance on top of bile, on top of hate, on top of stereotypes. Which is interesting, isn't it? Because even when the polling is right there, you know, the evidence is there for what people actually want, what they're interested in, and what would, you know, by proxy, save these people their jobs. Even when the polling is right there, just push that aside, because true one nation conservatism be damned. The Tory penchant for hate and prejudice runs deeper than even their self-preservation. Guys, that is it for this one. If you're in a position to, do tap the 3 dots and consider leaving me a little super thanks tip in the tip cup there. My policy on those very much Cameronian. You know, I want to get it to tens of thousands. No ifs, no buts. Or join my YouTube community. If you go on my profile, there should be a little join button there. Or you could join its sister cult over on patreon.com/Aid Thompson. There are links to both of those in the description below. Either of them is good as the other. Anyway, that's it from me. Until next time, peace.